Hi, welcome to the next lesson. We're continuing on with engagement, and that is the third step in our 5-step framework. Today we're going to look at automating your list building. It's important to build a list, but it's also even more important that we don't do anything to actually build it once we've set it up. We don't want to create a rod for our own back. We have enough to do in our businesses. You should never have to think about delivery again. The fact of the matter is that there's tools out there to help you deliver your lead magnet, to add someone's email address to a list, and to send information to them ongoing. You don't need to have to do everything yourself. And this is a problem. People often start out doing things manually. Well, my thoughts are, if you do everything up front, and it takes a little bit of time to get it right, don't get me wrong, you've got a little bit of learning to do, and you've got a little bit of figuring out to do, but there's a lot of YouTube videos to help you on this, and also even on the sites of companies that provide these tools. It's worthwhile long term. Worst comes to worst, you can get everything together and hire someone to do it. Okay, so there's a range of different tools available to help us automate things. So there's tools that allow us to collect information from our pages. There's tools that allow us to store the email addresses and names and send out email. And there's other tools that combine all of these to build landing pages, to collect the information and then send it somewhere else, or store it internally themselves. So let's have a look at a couple of them. So there's Unbounce and Optimized Press and Lead Pages. These are different sites that allow you to create landing pages that you can send people to. So they come to your website, you have something pop up and take them to a page, or it slides down the top of your page and covers your page. There's a whole pile of options these days that has a form and something to attract their attention. They can either fill it in or they say no thank you and it goes away. All of these tools cost different prices. Some are free, some cost a lot of money, and my thoughts are that what you really need is the one that works best for your business. And sometimes it's a case of combining a couple of things. So if we look at ConvertKit up here, ConvertKit is a site that will actually allow you to collect the email addresses, store in their system, and then from their system you can send out emails to 10,000, 100,000 people at once. Now you can't do that from your own email program. The reason being that the internet service provider you have will limit it to like 100 emails an hour. And even if you get close to that, you'll just be blocked, okay? Nothing will go out, and that means no other emails. So if you go to write something back to an important client, your email will not work. So realize that if you're going to send bulk email, you need a special tool. The other thing is, if you want it to happen automatically, you can't really do that very successfully within Gmail or Outlook or any of those tools. So you need an autoresponder site to handle that for you, and ConvertKit is one of those. ClickFunnels will do a similar thing, but it'll also set up funnels, so it does do landing page and capture forms and all that sort of stuff. Again, from my perspective, it's too expensive unless you're running a lot of traffic to it. If your business is built around developing funnels and landing people, then it may be worthwhile investment. And I encourage you to go and check out these different tools. Don't just take my word for it, okay? Because these are my opinions based on what I've learned and what I do. They're not always the best one for you, but what I want you to understand from my perspective is why I think a certain way I do and how that applies to your business, and then you can twist that around to fit your needs. Now the last one is the one that I prefer, and it's called Thrive Themes. Now I use WordPress for building websites. I have done for many years, and you'll hear me talk about WordPress all the time because it is a great system. It's not perfect, but it's a great system. Thrive Themes is a company that provides some basic themes for WordPress, but then I have a couple of plugins. One of them is a Builder plugin, and that Builder plugin allows you to choose from a range of pre-designed landing pages with forms and everything already done. So rather than having to reinvent the wheel, you can just choose one with a form, connect it to your autoresponder, so connect it to ConvertKit or whichever ones you use, and everything will work for you. Okay, it's just a matter of connecting it together. And if you've got a webmaster, they will quickly master Thrive themes. Okay, it costs about $120 a year to be a member, and well worth the investment if you work with WordPress. Very fast, always updating. Now they also have a plugin called Thrive Leads, which actually is specifically designed to handle all of your lead capture. It can do pop-ups, it can do slide-ins, it can make the whole thing come down from the top of the screen, blank the screen out except for the form, all that sort of stuff. And it will split test and do everything for you. So virtually endless possibilities. Okay, so if you're using WordPress and you want something that's really good and gives you all the options that you own within your site, then Thrive Themes is definitely the way to go. If you want to use a third party, you've got places like Lead Pages and ClickFunnels are quite popular, but you're looking at around $100 a month at least, US, to have access to those tools. And in my experience, most people aren't collecting thousands of leads a month, so when you weigh it up, it can be considerably more. But there's even more simple ways to get around this. For example, if you use Mailchimp, there's a plugin for Mailchimp, and you just put the plugin on your website and you put the capture box in a pop-up or in your sidebar, and the plugin will allow you to do that. And the same with ConvertKit, they'll give you a piece of code you can just put on your page. Lead Pages will do the same thing, but there's different reasons why you go different ways. So go and investigate them. You may already have a solution, that's fine. But the key element is you need a service provider that will allow you to collect those email addresses via a form on your website, put them into a list, and then allow you to send bulk email out automatically without you touching it. Now, I recommend Mailchimp. Now, you might ask, why Mailchimp? It's been around forever. Why would you bother using that one? Well, the fact of the matter is it's free for up to 2,000 addresses. So for nothing, you can get started. And once you grow, if you're growing your list and you're getting up towards 2,000, you probably should clean your list anyway, so you can get rid of the ones that aren't opening. And Mailchimp has a button that allows you to do that. And email addresses that bounce, you can clean them out, all those sorts of things. So getting up to 2,000 addresses in your list is quite a feat to start with. Once you're there, then you can look at paying a whole $10 a month for unlimited. Now you can go and pay a lot more than this, but in my opinion, depending on what you need, but in my opinion, for anyone starting out, Mailchimp is the place to start. Now I'm still using it. I like it. I think it does everything I need to do. But I've worked with lists of over over 100,000 people, and we're sending out an email every week. And the fact of the matter is that, you would definitely need to go up to like a pro version if you're doing that. And you may need to look at something that's even more high end. But Mailchimp as a company has grown, and they're able to handle a lot more than they used to. One of the other points I just want to come back to, by the way, when we were talking about sending out via Outlook or from your own internal mail system, is you've got to be careful. If you send too much email that's considered spam by someone else's system, you can get blacklisted, which means basically you can't send an email address from your own personal domain to almost anyone, because the blacklist moves around the web. When you send it through Mailchimp, they're very strict on how emails are sent, and people being able to unsubscribe, and you meeting all the different requirements from countries around the world as far as permissions go, etc. So your chances of actually getting banned are much lower. So that's another good reason to actually do this, because if your domain gets banned and you send out an email to a client, it may not even get through their system because you've been put on a blacklist. So free forever, up to 2,000 people, and that just makes sense to me. Okay, and it has autoresponders. It now actually does do landing pages as well. They obviously do the forms, and it does integrate with WordPress and most content management systems to allow you to put in a capture form. And even things like Ninja pop-ups, which does the pop-up over the top, you can integrate that with Mailchimp. So it pops up, captures the thing, email address, sends it to Mailchimp for you, and takes care of everything. So think about that. Now, there's lots of videos to help you set things up, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But don't let that hold you back as far as going forward. It's not as difficult to set these things up. It's just a matter of going step by step. And a lot of people have never done an autoresponder before. The key element is the planning. Okay, so we need to plan out our sequence of what we're actually doing. So in this case, looking at the headlines book, we have visitors coming to our site. We need to attract their attention so we can capture them. So on my site, I had a little form, and it has the button underneath there that says, what does it say? Click here to download now. Now, you might ask me, why didn't I put the form there? Well, it's a good question. Interestingly enough, testing has shown just by having the button, people feel less threatened by a button because you're not asking them to do anything except click. When they click that button, you can then pop a form. And this is where psychology comes into play. Psychologically, people feel they've taken a step down that road and they're happy to give you their email address. So when you compare a form on the page instead of the button, or a button that then pops a form, the button that pops the form will outperform just a form every day of the week. It's psychology, but that's what happens, okay? So people hit the download, they're like, oh yeah, I'll just grab that, and then it comes up and they go, oh, okay, why not? It's all in your head, but it works. So in this case, I'm going to have something there. When they click the button, it's going to pop up, use a pop-up. Now, you could click that and it could take them to a new page with the form on them. Okay, you don't have to use a pop-up if you don't know how to set one up. Just take them to a new page. It's a landing page for downloading. And then they fill in the form. The form, when they submit it, sends that information directly to Mailchimp. Okay, and then Mailchimp says, I'll add them to that list, and it will send them an email with a link so that they can download the PDF or go to the video or whatever it is that you're giving away for free. The key element to remember is that when you're automatically sending out emails, you cannot add an attachment because it just chunks up the mail systems. So you need to link to the download file. So you put that on your website and create a link, hide it from Google, and just put the link in the email, and then people can go and get it. Or if you're going to send them to a video, put it on YouTube, make it unlisted, give them the link to go and watch it. Okay, it doesn't have to be high tech, just has to work. But remember, you can't attach things to emails in autoresponders normally because it slows the system down. If you were to send 100,000 emails each day, which some people do, with a PDF of 2 megabytes on it, you can imagine how much extra that grows compared to an email might be 50 kilobytes. You're now talking about 2,050 kilobytes. So massive amounts of data. So don't do that. But sit down and plan your sequence, because you need to think about that, and then you can go through and you can tick off each thing as you do it. Yes, I've got my form on my site. Yes, I've connected it to Mailchimp. Yes, Mailchimp's set up to deliver the thing. I've done my thank you email and it goes to them. And don't forget, when you do set these up, make sure you go and put yourself in the form and check that it does send you the link and that the link works. Okay, don't assume it works. The other thing about adding yourself to the list, when you do send out a bulk email, so it might be an update on something that's happening or a special offer, whatever it happens to be, you'll get a copy as well. So you'll know that it has been sent. If you don't put yourself on the list, you might send out to 10,000 people and it actually doesn't go because you forgot to fill something in. If you're on the list, you're going to know that it's gone. So test out your sequence on yourself when you're satisfied it's ready. So using Mailchimp, as I said, there's plenty of ways to help you, but in this case, if you go to Mailchimp themselves and just do a search for set up Mailchimp, you'll actually find they've got a whole section that clearly tells you how to do each thing, and there's videos there on the page as you scroll down. It tells you how to do every single step. So if you're like me and you've got a pretty wide screen, which most people do these days, you can open that up on one side, open that up your Mailchimp on the other, and watch the video and do it at the same time. But if you get stuck, go to YouTube and go, how to such on Mailchimp. I guarantee that you'll find videos on how to do it. Absolutely guarantee it, because there's thousands and thousands of them out there. There's no excuse for getting stuck on how to do things these days, because any of these popular programs have been around for a while. There's tons of videos for free on YouTube. Okay, so don't get stuck. Now, one of the beautiful things is that you can take a little bit further if you want to. You can actually use a tool called Zapier, so zapier.com, to zap things together. So for example, if I collect your email address and then I add it to Mailchimp, I can use Zapier to then add you automatically to my network. And so it says connect Mailchimp to Mighty Networks. And then it says when I get a new subscriber, invite that person to become a member. So Zapier is a great tool if you want to integrate things together. So if you're having problems, you got a CRM, for example, so you're using, say, Zoho, or you're using Salesforce, and you're collecting people, and just say it's difficult to get people into Zoho from a landing page, which can be. You can still use Mailchimp, but come over here and use free zaps to zap them across and add them into Zoho using a zap. So if someone subscribes, it adds their name and email address into your Zoho or into your Salesforce. So it creates a new contact in there. So this allows you to connect all different systems together and to do a range of different things. So go and have a play with Zapier. It's really interesting. It's amazing what's hidden in there. Like Xero, for example, the accounting software. There's heaps of zaps there where if someone buys on Stripe, you can zap their details through to Xero and create an invoice for them that gets sent out automatically. So rather than having to manually do it, you can make sure that when someone buys on your Stripe, that they get added into your accounting system. It's a great tool. Okay, your task for this week is you need to get a Mailchimp account. If you've got one already, go and log in, find the password or reset it, and get set up. Go through and fill out all your details in there. There's certain areas where they need your name and address. They need to verify your email address so that they can, so you'll get an email from them to verify that account is a real email address so they can contact you. All those sorts of things. Create a new list called Lead Magnet and go through and fill out the details. One of the details that's really important when you're making a new list is how did you get on this list? So if someone gets an email and they're kind of like, why the hell did I get this? I don't remember signing up for this. They scroll down the bottom, it actually says, you got this email because, and in there you write, you signed up for the Lead Magnet at about 10 things to do with your car this weekend, or whatever it's called. So make sure you fill that in. It's really important because that's there when people forget that they've signed up to the list and they get something from you and think, oh, it was spam. Okay, this helps deal with spam. So let's review. Need to get a system going. Mailchimp I recommend because it's so easy and there's so much help out there. You can have up to 2,000 subscribers for free, and then after that it's unlimited for $10. So it's great value. They've now keep upgrading it, and you've got landing pages. You can do all sorts of things in there you couldn't do even a year ago. So it's really becoming quite a valuable tool for a really cheap price. It integrates well with other content management systems such as WordPress, Joomla, and all those. Because it's been around, there's plugins for it. So it makes it easier to put a form on your site to capture the lead. Don't forget to plan out your sequence. Think about how you're going to use that sequence to capture people, and then plan out what you're going to do within Mailchimp, and make sure that you go and, as task this week, get back into your Mailchimp or sign up for a new account and get a list set up so that you can start to get ready and implement it onto your website. Get that, get a form on there, set up your lead magnet, set up the delivery, all those sorts of things. And I will look at doing some other videos specifically on that topic that you can look into. But as I said, there's plenty of help there. Look into the help. So it brings us to the end of this week's lesson. Get stuck in, get it done, and I'll catch you in the next lesson.